Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. We've already had the switch, so we're good. We're ready. We're ready. If you guys don't know what that means, we for those listening, we are on video on YouTube, and the videos for AJ and Dap, my co-hosts, welcome by the way, guys, are always flipped to start, so it's a little running joke that we switch it back to the rightful place. Whatever, I don't know.
We're back to normal.
It's okay. All right, so tonight we've got a great show. We're going to be talking about some of this bat speed data that is so popular and so trendy right now. And so then hot. It's so hot right now. So then we're going to be jumping into the Tampa Bay Rays, or as our guest wants to call them still, the Devil Rays. We'll get into that a little later. And then jumping through some injuries, and then we got our question of the day to end it up. So before we get there, though, just want to remind everybody while you're here, please hit that subscribe button, that like button, leave those 5-star reviews, leave those comments. We appreciate it, and we love hearing from you. And, of course, while during this baseball season and football season's right around the corner, go over to fantasysixpack.net/plans, become an all-access member. You get access to our award-winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets, our DFS data that Dave Eddy and Chris Robin and then some pump out for you every single day. We got lots more over there. And, of course, our Discord where you get to talk to all of the analysts asking your personal league questions right to us. And we give you those in-depth answers. We are giving away a 2-week free trial right now for signups. So go over there, sign up for the month-to-month deal, and you'll get it free for 2 weeks. Just try it out, man. You can always cancel if you don't like it, but we think you'll want to stick around.
Try
it's pretty
it.
good.
Just
try it out. So all right. Well, without further ado, let's jump into things here. We're bringing on our guest, Matt Germain. What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's going great. Happy to be here. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you could join us. And we're excited to be jumping in here. So Matt, before we get in here, let everybody know kind of what your background is and what you got going on.
Sure. Well, in terms of your show here, probably I've been an avid I would call it more of a dynasty league player in terms of fantasy purposes. And I've been doing that since I was maybe 20 years old. And so it's been a while. And I like the deep leagues, the ones where you have, maybe 100 minor leaguers that you're sifting through and throwing around. And though that's my forte basically. And that's how I get to know the players. I love the process baseball has, the long, grueling process of getting guys up to the majors. So that's what drew me to fantasy, was just then you really know the players once they arrive. And to me, that's the best thing about it. But I ended up over time getting into the blogging side of things on my own, got recruited by Fansided after that, wrote for Jay's Journal. And at the time when Fansided was just basically in its infancy. And I was able to take Jay's Journal up to the same level as their Kansas City Royals site, which was basically dominating Fansided at the time. So we had a lot of success. Eventually, I had to leave for military purposes. Keegan Matheson, who's now writing for MLB.com and the Jays, took over from me at that point. And then I ended up switching once I came back to the Rays. And that's how I got into the Rays and loving them. And basically went on to write a little bit for SB Nation. And then time kind of got in the way. So I kind of do things on my own now on X, or Twitter as it was at that time. And really love doing that because you can really dig in and just freewheel it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. No, sounds good, man. So we're gonna.
I'm sorry, real quick. If you don't
follow Matt on Twitter, X, whatever the heck we're calling it this week, you're missing out. He's one of my favorite follows. I think just because you see an analyst expert of the Rays, but also that you see somebody who's also a fan of the team. And I love that kind of that juxtaposition. I learned so much about the Rays following him. And also you can tell when he's frustrated and when he's also very happy with the team. So I love that. Sometimes reporting's great, when it's cold and calculated. And other times, I'll be honest, I like kind of being like, if I swear to God, if the team does this one more time, it runs into this one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. And Matt does that a lot. It irritates the heck out of me.
No, good stuff. So we're going to lead the way here, starting with our bat speed data analysis, and then jump into your beloved Rays. But Dap, you have the floor, my man.
All right. Let's talk about some of that bat speed fun. I'm super excited. So last week, right before our show, literally the day before, the day of, they released all this bat speed stuff. And that was really initially interesting. But what really came out of it was a couple things. First off, bat speed. We'll talk about that here in a second. But there was, swing speed. There was, what's the fastest swing rate, home runs, and all these different, and, scoring up on the ball. There's all these new stats that people had to basically kind of parse through very quickly. But of course, the focus was bat speed. So when we brought it up, there's a couple really interesting nuggets right away. I don't want to get into the whole mishmash of numbers, but let's get into this real quick. The league average speed is 72 miles an hour. That blew my mind because I would have thought much higher. If you were to do the higher lower game, league average, I would have thought much higher. And then the home run average bat speed was 75 miles an hour. Again, I don't know. For some reason, just considering how fast that ball is going and how fast they have to swing that bat, I don't know. I just thought it was faster. Am I the only one in this mindset here, or did that just seem slow when you initially saw 72 and a home run 75?
It definitely does.
Yeah. When you see exit velocity, it's like 115. You think of the bat's going fast, but it kind of shocked me. But
everything, the exit velocity is a perfect example. Every home run, they're like, that was crushed at 115, 110, 100, whatever, and it's like, okay, that seems to be the norm. And it's like, no, it's 72. No, that's like my norm on a highway. That's 5. So. This is not I don't want to say it's not good, but it's definitely something that shocked me when I saw this.
100%. So does it exclude anything like check swings? Does it have to be a full swing for it to be counted?
Right. So because of I don't think it doesn't exclude the check swing. If you look at actually how the whole cameras operate, it's really kind of interesting because it shows a different angle that you're not used to. If you've seen any of this drive line stuff where they shoot a stick figure kind of doing their thing when they're doing the camera's in this really weird angle. So all you basically see is a lightsaber type of situation where it's coming across. I assume it would definitely show check swing. I don't, because how would it parse the difference? But I'm assuming that if 72 is the league average, then check swing's got to be a lot shorter than that.
There's a lot of weirdness to it too, and we'll get into some of this where it's the total bat speed doesn't it doesn't feel like it's really taking into account the actual acceleration. People are starting off slower, but then the acceleration is faster. It's it's the average total swing, not the max speed of them. So that's what gets me with it. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have a tough time really figuring out how to use this data. I know they want to tell us it means this, but it's but does it? Because when you look at some of who's good and who's bad,
Did you put down? Do you have a list of? Did you have the list of the top 5 and the bottom 5, or can I just go?
We're good. No,
okay. I'm excited because this
going for you.
Oh, I'm sorry, that blew my mind. Go ahead.
So I just want to ask, Matt, have you looked at the list to see who's top 5?
I have.
So never mind. We can't ask that question. AJ,
I know AJ has it.
If you got the notes, or No.
I'm looking at the notes.
AJ.
So you know.
All right.
All right. So we'll just go into it.
Yeah.
Top 5 bat speed, average bat speed.
I mean, look at not even how okay. O'Neill's and Kyle and Morel and Judge are all close, right? They're within. And then you have Giancarlo Stanton, which probably explains why he's always hurt, because he's trying to throw his shoulder out of his actual socket. I mean, that's just nuts.
Look at how many times. Yes, how many times he swings over 75 miles an hour.
That's just
almost every single time.
But that brings me back to that point of the check swing. Do you ever see Giancarlo Stanton check swinging? No. I don't. He usually, once he swings, he's committed. He's going.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Schwarber, I know, does a decent amount of check swinging, but he's right. I mean, he's right there 3/4 of the time too. And O'Neill Cruz, I don't know. I don't know if I'm shocked by that or not, just because of his stature and how big he is. Like it seems like it should make sense physically, but I don't know. I would not have put him second for sure. And Morel, like, what? Okay.
Yeah, Morel's the one.
I mean, he is a big dude, yeah. So I mean,
but compared to those other guys, I mean, like, again,
Yeah.
O'Neill's a monster. He just needs to stay healthy. I mean, the guy just seems like he bunts home runs. Again, Aaron Judge is what, 7'6", I think, and that's on the low side.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. It just blew my mind on some of this stuff, but it wasn't even so much the names. It was so much looking at just how on another level Giancarlo is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again,
just some other names real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Ronald Acuna 6, Matt Chapman 7, Joe Adell 8. That one actually shocks me. Juan Soto 9, and then Julio Rodriguez 10, and then I'm just gonna say, because it's an Oriole, Gunnar Henderson is 11. But
yes,
sorry, I had to.
So no Shohei.
No,
that's interesting.
17, but I mean, like, you're talking like 0.1 mile per hour difference between him and like number 12. I mean, it gets crazy close to that point. Stanton's the only one who has like a gap that is meaningful at all between any of these numbers. But like, what it really kind of shows me is that your general power hitters, you're really strong, like, guys that you expect to hit a lot of home runs, are swinging the bat really fast almost every time, and it kind of makes sense, right?
So my question is, where is Matt Olson on this list? Because last year he was super high up in homers. Was he led
41st at 74.1 miles per hour? So he's above average.
So no, he's below
okay,
average.
Matt. All right, so Joe, you obviously have the list up. Matt, tell me, who is the highest ranked Ray on that list?
I would say, if I had to bet, Yandy Diaz or Isak Paredes, one or the other.
I'd go with Arozarena just because he's my favorite. But
is he right now?
Well, no, not this year. He's not.
Not this year.
I have him on every team, and I'm like, this worked so well last year. Why not this year?
How low you having to go on that list there, Joe? You look like
I'm I'm scrolling a while. I found the first. I found the first one, and then scrolled back up. Was like, that can't be right. So it is actually Arozarena, and he's 73rd at 72.8 miles per hour.
Wow, that I didn't expect.
Yandy Diaz is second at 72.7. So they're 0.1 mile per hour off. So both of you were like spot on.
Wow.
Jose Siri is third at 85th at 72.4.
That's not surprising.
So they're what? They're right there at league average of 72 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
Oh, league average. Sorry, home run average.
Home run average is 75.
I wish we could see this list with the bottom 20 speed of each player taken out, so that you take away the check swings, the lackluster swings, the ones where they're not sure and they're reaching, so that you only get the 80% of their healthy swings.
The goofy. Oh, I didn't mean to swing at that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't count that.
Well, there's also like how many times they hit this. Yeah, they also talk about how many times they hit the sweet spot. They also talk about like a couple other like power swings, but they talk about a couple other kind of metrics that helps you kind of pull that out as well. Obviously, squaring up on the ball is another piece that they could do there, and they have blasts, which they rate a blast. I believe is where your bat speed and your squared up meet at a certain metric, and then the swing length. Again, having that kind of that shorter swing length. Stanton has a 9.7 foot swing length. So just so you know,
the blast is like the NBA jam after you hit 3 shots in a row.
Exactly.
You're on
That's
fire.
exactly what it is.
That's
Right.
flaming.
That's good.
Where's the bam? It's gone.
Do you remember? Oh yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yes,
like there was an NBA Jams but MLB thing. It was called like MLB Slugfest, and that was I was addicted to that. Anyways, all right, Joe. What's the next one we got here? So we have the top. You about to show the bottom? Yes.
Yeah, I want to show
I did not
bottom.
look at this yet.
Okay, so this one, the 2 I didn't expect on this list: Justin Turner and Blackman.
Yeah.
Maybe Blackman now. Blackman like 5 years ago, maybe not. but we don't have that data apparently, right? So I don't know.
But Nolan Chanel, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But the Luis Arez one, I was like, what?
So it's interesting, and so I'm glad you brought that up, right? And so I have a tweet that I found.
You found really, Joe? Tell me more about this tweet.
No, this one was one that I found.
Oh, you found it. Okay,
you found all the rest of them. I'll give you credit for the ones you found. This is one that I found.
My mom won't put up this podcast on her refrigerator unless you give me credit. So go ahead.
Do I have to give you like a smiley face sticker?
Stickers.
Thank you.
So this says MLB players with below average bat speed and high OPS. What do they all have in common? They have higher OPSs than the top 5 leading average. The top 5 leaders in average bat speed, which is mind-boggling to me. But they all
wow.
They like
my brain's still trying to wrap it around.
I'm like,
but like, so when you're looking at this, right, you're thinking like
time.
Luis Reyes, right? You're thinking guys with low bat speed, like you're thinking like, okay, Luis Reyes, some of these guys, they have high batting averages, right? So like they're just good contact hitters. Andres Jimenez is up there, right? Jeff McNeil is up there, pretty high, but it's not always like correlated like that. Some of these dudes that have low bat speeds below average bat speeds actually have high OPSs, and they actually all have higher OPSs than the top 5 in average bat speed. So they have like higher OPSs than I guess like Stanton and stuff like that, which is crazy.
Yeah. Because consistency is a huge part of your OPS, right?
Yeah. So Paredes.
Yeah. I think honestly it does make sense.
Will Smith,
I mean, Matt had it on the head there with the consistency. If you have a consistent enough swing all the way through, then you're connecting on the ball at a higher rate. I mean, look at Reyes. I mean, the dude's like a monster for average. So he doesn't surprise me that his bat speed might be lower, but his OPS.
Number.
Yeah.
But
I guess he just can't swing a fast bat.
Never.
But here's the thing though, like
noodle biceps or whatever, that's falling apart.
I can't remember who the player is now. Going off that, it's with the Braves. But they were talking about this, big slugging player who basically makes the decision. He's able to decide super late in where the ball is, and so his initial bat speed's like 55 miles an hour or about that, and then he's able to be like, oh, I need to swing at this. Yeah. He's able to then just bring it faster, and that I think is what's next level. Was it Riley, Joe? Austin Riley.
You talking about the Noah Woodward thing that you sent me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, that was it's actually Freddie Freeman.
Okay, sorry. I knew it was.
So yeah, like if you watch this video, it's nuts. Yeah. Like he decides so late. I'm trying to see if can I blow this up?
See, going back to the consistency though, it's like if your
he
bat
decides right there that he's gonna swing
all the way through,
yeah,
and then you're like, well, it's like you're catching up to yourself with ridiculous, speed at the end of your swing, wherever these cameras are catching it. So
that's still stupid. I mean, that's an 85, 86 mile an hour ball. And he's like, I'll wait till the absolute last. I mean, that's just stupid.
There's no way he should have even been able to foul that off. Most people miss
it's
that.
All
ball, guarantee it.
At that point. It's all torque of your body just being able to power through that. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, Blackman was the one who was a surprise to me as well. And seeing him on here, just because I've been such a Blackman like truther forever until the last few years, where I'm just like,
getting a little up there. That might have something to do with it,
But yeah,
just because he's 87, Joe, you're gonna just keep calling him out for his age.
Look, hey, he's gonna be the next Just for Men, beard commercial guy. Hey, they're done with basketball players at this point. They've got to start going to baseball. Look at the beards on these guys.
Don't make fun of Brandon Marsh.
So interesting names that are below average, right? I mean, Will Smith, that was on that list that I mentioned earlier, right? So he's on there.
After getting slapped, after slapping.
Yeah, I mean, he's an actor. I mean, he's busy with
Betts.
The Mookie Betts one blew my mind.
That's crazy. He's below average, and he's he can crush the ball. Obviously, right. I mean, even seeing Nolan Arenado below the line is crazy. Cody Bellinger also, like some of these guys, like you expect, those are like 30 home run dudes. Like, okay, did we just lose Matt?
He's like, I'm done with these guys.
I was like, you're not talking about my Rays.
It's like, first you talk down about the Rays, then you put up a tweet with Isaac Paredes. Come on.
Get it together, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Betts is definitely a shocking one. Soto, was he a lower one? No.
He's near the top. He's near the top.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's 9
skipped ahead
overall.
Yeah.
So
well, and I just and wrap, from a fantasy perspective, I think there's a lot of people that are like, average, trying to find that extra way to find, how can I make this a competitive advantage? I don't think you can, obviously, from this, especially if Giancarlo Stanton is way above everybody else. But I think if you take this and you take some of the other points to it, I think it can tell you whether or not some of these people have sustainable stuff. I think the Nolan Chanel hate that you've seen for so long throughout the season so far shows you that he's kind of in line with some of these kind of elite hitters, and maybe it's not such a bad thing that you have a guy who's a contact first baseman. I know it's weird as heck to say out loud. It's even weird to kind of rhyme that like a Dr. Seuss poem, but I think that you can kind of see that it's not just some light hitting first baseman. He's legit elite in some of these areas that he's at, and very akin to some of these other names that are, on there as well, like Lowe or Ez. But again, I think you take this and you have to take some of these other pieces as well. Like I was talking about the shorter than average swing and some of these other things. But it's I thought it was incredibly interesting. But the way it's being played.
Well, you mentioned these other metrics too, right? Yeah. So I pulled those up for you, Dab, because you mentioned them.
Yeah. So squared up. I think
I got you, man.
Yeah. So squared up, right? So this is what I was talking about, taking the intersection, right? So you look at the bat speed, and then you talk about fast spring rate, and then looking at these squared up numbers. I think this is what really telling. Look at Rushman. He's number 9. Look at his average bat speed. It's below 70. You think it was higher considering the power that he has, but it's that squared up number that really kind of says, okay, this is where he is. So look at this top 10 list again. Michael Garcia is somebody that everybody was screaming about. This is a sleeper. This is guy's, is undervalued, etc. And that's another kind of way to kind of see them. And look, Yandy Diaz, some Ray guy. I don't know. We should have that guy on the show. This kind of shows you again. He's only swinging 72. His bat speed, but again, that quality contact. We're at going at the squared up. Just that metric really kind of opened up my eyes on a couple players that I was kind of on the fence about. And I was like, okay, this is sustainable, and I really love it. So any other kind of names here that kind of jumped out to you? I mean, there's a Juan Soto guy on there who's like, he might be okay, I guess. But anybody else that was kind of surprising to y'all?
I think as a group, you kind of look at this list and you're like, if you were to ask somebody who the best hitter was on each team, they probably would come up with this list. And it kind of validates that, right?
Exactly.
And so if you're looking, I think you can kind of unearth some guys that others might not be as high on, maybe in some cases in terms of fantasy purposes, and kind of say, well, this guy is overperforming and it's sustainable because look, he's squaring it up. It's not just a fluke. It's not a high batting average and balls in play or anything like that. He's actually doing the good job, right? So to me, that's a piece that you use with the other ones to kind of say, yep, I'm in the right realm.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm going to be interested about, Matt, is how the Rays are going to take this and obviously take value out of this for the next 2 years before everybody else catches up.
Well, nobody knows, but they've been using it for 6 years, and they kind of just let it out of the box.
Exactly. The Rays probably are like, all right, you guys can use the metric that we've been using for a while.
I was looking at this, and I mean,
who's the first A? Who's the first athletic on this list?
Hold on. All right, hold on. I got this. It's got to be. Oh God.
That my guess.
It's got to be. What's his name? Jesus. What the hell is
What's his name? Yes, correct.
He's forgotten all the players on you.
You call yourself a fan.
The guy that will soon be traded to a contender.
Shut up, guys. I hate all of you. I hate all of you here. I'm gonna say it can't be Roker because he strikes out too much. G-Love or Blade?
No. Oh, yeah, it could
Abraham Toro.
Wow.
Oh, a Canadian boy. Yes.
Wow.
Hey, all right.
Hey.
First one, eh?
There you go.
I think Toro's been on the team for what, a minute and a half?
Yeah. The sample size is 5.
He's still first. I mean, what's that say about the rest of the team, Dap? Come on.
Tells you that.
I mean, I gotta go a ways before I find the next one. I'm not gonna lie.
Shut up, Joe.
But I was gonna say, looking at this list, I mean, this would be a pretty sweet, starting 9. But there's not enough outfield help.
Joe,
so.
give us some of the names off the next 10. I would love to know what the 11 through 20.
Yeah.
Vinny Pasquantino, Taylor Ward, Ketel Marte, Bobby Witt, Jeff McNeil, CJ Abrams, Jeremy Pena, Abraham Toro, Ohtani, and Mookie Betts.
There's your Ohtani.
Toro ahead of
right?
Wow.
They actually are tied at 89.
That is the only stat that Toro
which
will ever be.
I mean, I'm thinking I did that right. Like so that is the number of competitive swings. That's just how I sorted it. I mean, I could have sorted it by like percentage, but I don't know. I just did number total. I figured that was
it. I mean, number squared. I mean,
that's what you mean for the number. Yeah.
We'll find out tomorrow that we're wrong, but right now, I mean, look, let me put it this way. Any way you put this where you have Marcus Semien, Yandy, Jose, and Juan like in the top 10, I think you sorted it okay.
Yeah.
You're fine there. But yeah, that's so again, I think this wasn't talked about enough in all those radio interviews and stuff. I had to dig to get to the bat speed squared up metric because it was all about like, oh, look how fast they're swinging. Squared up is going to unleash a lot more stuff for you. If you want to find that kind of thing, look at like the 7-day, 14-day, all this stuff is available now to really kind of find that out. What else did we, anything else we have uncovered on this?
Just some fun tweets that you found, I guess. So we're talking about Stanton here.
Sorry, who found them? Who found them? Oh, Dap. Got it.
Hold on. Let me talk to my mom. Mom, he mentioned me. Okay, good. All right.
Don't worry. She was texting me, yelling at me.
That's typical.
Your tweet here from Doug Clawson. Stanton has 4 home runs in 9 games since the MLB bat tracking data was released. Coincidence? I think not.
Nice.
Obviously, Giancarlo's like, I'm gonna just swing faster now, right?
Like,
but there was another one I found about
one.
There was another one I found about Matt Chapman, about how all of a sudden like he's really picked it up since this data too. He's like he wasn't on like the top like whatever list, and so now he's like, screw all you guys, I'm just hitting the ball hard.
Right, I'm gonna hit it as hard as I can.
And then our good friend Mike Kurland here.
Okay, this I thought was
a lot of data here.
But basically he took the bat speed. Barrel percentage of at least 10% and hard hit rate of at least. And the two names, right, that really kind of come out to you, right? Giancarlo, of course, O'Neill, right? We talked about Judge, Schwarber. Ramos. I did not expect to see that on the list.
Not at all. Yeah, that's surprising.
I mean,
it's only
only reason I would
maybe that's why.
I mean,
but still, I mean, the quality of his plate appearances, though. Sure, I mean, regardless, and then Ohtani, Soto, right, just missing. Okay, but again, that Ramos was just like, shh. So he'll be with the Rays soon enough.
Yeah. Well, so the only reason I am not as shocked by that is because of Dynasty when I was so hard focused on this guy. I was just like, I don't know why, but I was just like, oh, he's going to be my next go-to like sleeper pick, whatever. And that's all I saw was everything about his power was so legit and everything. So it doesn't surprise me as much. But looking at that list, it's like, oh yeah, these are all names. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I can kind of get that, but he's not as well-known name at this point as all of these other guys. So that's where it's surprising.
No, absolutely not. So, I think that's it for the bat speed talk. Unless you got something else that I wasn't thinking about here.
I mean, other than just I feeling like the A's and the Rays were not represented enough in that. Other than that, no, I feel good about the talk. But let's get into the real important stuff. Let's get into why Matt's here, because as we talk about the Tampa Bay Rays on the show all the time, we have a ongoing. I'd call it a motto.
Love-hate relationship with them?
Yes. So two things, right? From a fantasy perspective, it's impossible to figure out who in the world to draft from the team. I mean, forget Franco for a second and his idioticness, but, when he was on the team, at least we knew he was going to play every day. Right. The thing is, and the running joke here is that, you guys will have a shortstop, but then you'll turn him into a catcher the next day, and we'll not be like, who the hell's on the lineup?
Well, he's gonna ultimately end up in the bullpen and be a reliever for either as a every other day starter for the game, like and pitch 1 to 2 innings, or catcher. Yeah, that works too. Or he'll be both, and he'll be the starter throwing to himself because that's how talented this
like
Rays
Bugs Bunny throwing to himself or something here. What's going on?
Exactly. So Matt, help us out here, because obviously, we're looking at things from a fantasy perspective. I have to start off by asking you the issue with Randy Arozarena. I mean,
and the rest of the slumping stars.
Yes, the rest of them. But let's talk. We have to start with Randy because he was drafted 2nd round, I think, at the latest. He was considered. He's gonna be your slugger. I mean, 8 home runs is great, but 162, 255 with average and OBP is not going to get it done. What are you seeing, since you watch way more Rays baseball than we are? Is he pressing? What's going on there?
Well, it started off with the bulking up. Him and Adolis Garcia both bulked up, and they're kind of best friends in the offseason as well. And they kind of focused on that. And I think you have to kind of step back and realize how old Randy Arozarena was when he came into MLB. He was 24 years old, and he didn't really get much playing time with St. Louis. So he's kind of what you would consider a late bloomer, really, 25 onwards, once he got a chance to play regularly with the Rays. So part of him bulking up has a lot to do with where he is in his contract status. So he's only going to get one big payday, if that. And when you have Scott Boras kind of talking to you in the background saying, this is how you can get paid is the home run totals, then maybe that's where that came from. And as soon as he bulked up, we all knew it could lead to trouble, and it did. And what we're seeing right now is that he's not reaching those pitches away like he used to at a quick enough rate, and it's only a fraction of a second that you have to be off to not be able to get that. The good news is he's being attacked fairly similarly. So pitchers are not doing much different, except they're in the zone about 5% more often against them, which is kind of substantial when you look at it. We have a good chunk of time right now. And what's happening is they're challenging him with the fastball because he's just really slow and not getting to it. And they know that. And not only that, Randy Arozarena's strength is actually hitting the changeup. And that's where he made the most, of his noise in 2023. He is completely lost against the changeup. So for whatever reason, he's not recognizing it, or he knows he's being attacked so much with the fastball more often that he's too amped up to slow his bat down to get to it. So whichever way it is, he's kind of like in this in-between state, and it's frustrating him, obviously. He has a lot of pressure on himself because he's trying to get the highest arbitration. He would love to sign an extension, obviously, because he still hasn't made big money to this day, and he's performed, broken records in the playoffs. He kind of feels like he's owed a little bit of something, I would imagine, and so all that put together kind of says, you know what, like he's pressing, definitely pressing, and he's at least, I'll give it this way, is you can't have a better partner in his case than Kevin Cash, who's given him every opportunity. So he moved him up to the second place in the lineup, moved him down to fourth place, never really moved away from that. Second, third, fourth. I think you're going to continue seeing that with Randy, and I hope for his sake that he does figure it out. And it seems like the last, 2-3 weeks, you can see some hope, which we'll take.
Right.
Yeah.
That's Randy.
The average has not been there, but at least the counting stats started finally coming around.
Yeah.
Like if I was in a 2-category offensive league, then I'd be happy to have him. You had an interesting tweet, Dap. You found this, obviously. So this is from you, Matt. The Rays ranked 20th in MLB.
We should have that guy on the show.
Yeah, he seems like a smart dude.
Yeah.
So this just kind of goes to show, like, these aren't all the stars on the team, but there's a couple of days on here that you're like, ooh, this is good.
The worst way that this is, like, Brandon Lowe is just screaming out, like when they don't have that left-handed power between him and Josh Lowe, who's out on injury. You have snapped so much of their character and their lineup strength away. It's a tough one.
Okay, so I have to add.
Well, before you get into that, I just want to say that I am fully on board with drinking the Arozarena Caminero. It's a play on drinks and annoyance because of, again, my mass ownership of him in fantasy leagues this year, and also the mass disappointment that it's driving me to drink heavier than I normally would. So there's at least that.
So Matt, if you already know this, please let me know. AJ, are you bouncing off the mic there? So this is a question for you. You and Joe. Are you if Randy's making $8 million this year? How much has he made for his career?
$8 million this year?
He's making $8 million this year.
That was
his career number,
arbitration number, right? So
right. I'm gonna go like 12 mil and change.
Wow. Okay. Or Joe?
I was gonna say like 9.5 mil.
Wow. Matt, do you know the number?
The Rays don't have very many high-paid players, so it's somewhere around just over 8 million.
So 14. So about 15 million. He's 8,000 shy of 15 million. That's how much he's made for his career. I was blown away. Couldn't believe it. That's only how much he made. So to your point, Matt, that's crazy.
But that's total. That's including the 8 million.
Yeah, that's including the 8 million.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I guess then.
I was only saying before this, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I guess but so I guess, Matt, what are they going to do? I see that obviously they sent me down. Now that Josh is hurt. What are they going to do? Is there somebody in the Joe? I forgot his name. He might be good in the minors.
Yeah.
Maybe, he might be considered a top.
Maybe this guy. Yeah.
Caminero.
There's a dude. Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna call him up, or we just hate fantasy players?
There's a lot of good reasons to keep him down as long as they have, but you have to think that it begins with the Super 2 status. I think when they called him up last year, I think they had hoped that he would just take off like Wander Franco did when he arrived, and it wasn't really that great. I don't know if you remember, but he hit 235. He had an on base that was 278, so he didn't really light it up. I will say that his at bats looked really great. Like even though the results weren't there, he was doing a pretty decent job. So there was encouraging signs. But when you look at also, the flash, the flare, the Rays kind of lived through an immaturity period with Wander Franco, and I think they're kind of skittish on it again. So in terms of Junior,
you mean the double clutch throw that was a poster?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Junior does those, but he's not shy on the field or off of it, and so there's a maturing process. When you're looking at the amount of games he has above AA, he only has 118. So to give you an example, Josh Lowe had 314 before he made the jump officially, permanently, right? There's a huge difference between that. And there's nothing wrong with him getting a little bit more time, a little more confidence, seeing a variety of pitchers. I think in May, he doesn't even have an 800 OPS. So it's not like he's pressing right now, pushing the front office to say, hey, I'm ready now, like Carson Williams is in AA. I would say Carson Williams is better equipped to come up now out of AA than Junior Caminero is, because defensively, Carson Williams can step onto an MLB field and be in the top 10 shortstops in MLB right now defensively. So when you start there, that is a much better, more secure place for the manager to be. And he's like, whatever he gives us, at the plate is gravy, basically. And Carson has speed and power to spare. So his hit tool coming up this year.
We want Junior Caminero.
Well, you want Carson Williams. Carson Williams will be more valuable to you because he's a shortstop. I think Junior Caminero, they're playing him. I don't know if you know this, but the last 3 games they played him in AAA at second base. So that's a very interesting thing. They have him leading off. So there are 2 little developments that
Rays are doing the Rays. They're playing it somewhere different.
They're reluctant to move Isaac Paredes off of third base, and they're reluctant to move Yandy Diaz off of first base because both are really good at their positions defensively. So I don't understand it personally, because to me, if you're bringing up a rookie, you want to keep him at the position he's comfortable, which is third base for Junior. You don't want to have to move him and have him think about his defensive abilities and the hitting at the same time. So I think it's a mistake personally. I think he should be at third base. Isak should be at first base, and Yandy, who's the oldest on the team, should be DHing. But that's just me.
But the Rays are going to Ray, and they're going to just do what they want to do.
I feel like there's probably a joke somewhere in there with all the maturity talk and Wander Franco, but I won't go there. I think the Yandy,
we don't even say his name anymore.
Yeah, I think the Yandy at DH is definitely what we need to see, because him at first is just it needs to stop. He needs to be able to just focus on hitting at this point.
So going over some of the other Rays, you guys just got Love Lady or Love Day?
Love Lady.
Okay. Sorry. So obviously he's going to be the best closer ever.
The name pronunciation and guessing.
I don't know. His second outing, I should say, with the Rays wasn't very pretty.
No.
So
But I guess that the reason I bring up Love Lady is because the thing that I could hang my hat on, at least at the beginning of the season, right? We're never. I said, look, I told everybody we're not going to probably know the closer because again the Rays are going to raise. But in a holds plus saves league, I said you could probably be fine picking a Ray. But what is going on
especially
with
Pete Fairbanks?
Especially Pete Fairbanks. What's going on with the bullpen? I mean, that
to me seems the same thing that's going on with the pitching. They're over aggressive in the zone, all of them. So it's kind of spread through the entire team, and it's bitten. You look at Aaron Savali after the third inning, and even Zach Eflin when he's gone past the third inning. Ryan Pepio, they're so aggressive in the zone that when their stuff can't dominate the hitter anymore, then they're susceptible to getting hit hard. And that's what's happening every time until their stuff kind of I don't know. It's frustrating in a way because the plans are made and they're solid and it's up to the pitcher to execute. So I'm not saying they're hitting their spots all the time. So it could be they're missing in the wrong places as well. But from what I've seen, that's the major thing is that we see them being way too like they'll be down in an 0-2 count and they'll throw it over the plate. Well, why? You don't have to strike every guy out. Make him chase a little bit. Throw something that, out of the zone that he can kind of push himself to have to sit on instead of, gifting it to him, basically. They're so afraid of the walks that it's biting them. And I don't know. It's nice to see them bounce back in May. They've been much better in May anyway.
But is that a catcher issue or is that a pitcher issue? Because, I mean, to my mind, right, I mean, with some of those guys, obviously, you have veterans that can call their own pitches. But with what's going on and everything, I mean, is that not more of a game plan situation where the catcher needs to be doing a better job of either setting up correctly or things like that if it's more consistently? Or is that a game plan issue? So
the Rays are very high on equipping the catchers with the right information to call the game, and you'll see them look in once in a while in the right situations, but generally speaking, they're calling the pitches based on what the information that the Rays provide for them. Right. So that's why I got so frustrated watching them pitch to Jarren Duran in the last series, because he is decimating the Rays. I don't know what their scouting said. I said, whatever that scouting is telling the Rays, throw it out. Do the George Costanza. Do the opposite of that, because it's not working out well. But that happens sometimes, right? Like sometimes the scouting or where you think you can attack them, the player makes the adjustment and you're still not, making the adjustment in the planning stages. So, it's an interesting to watch.
Yeah, Duran definitely liked playing you guys a lot, which definitely was not expecting that at all. All right, so we have the problem with the bullpen. We have a problem with the hitters. The pitchers, you just kind of know. Anything else that's wrong with the Rays at the moment? I mean, honestly, this is the weird part. Right? They're such a well-run organization from the fantasy perspective. We're like, hey, I just need to get a share of the Rays, a share of Atlanta, a share of the Dodgers hitting, especially, and so I just need to know. Like, obviously, I have a couple Rays shares almost in every one of my teams. Where's the silver lining here?
So the Rays, well, they do have a silver lining for sure, but the Rays, if you look at last year in terms of their strength, is that they were balanced on both sides. They were as equally as strong against right-handed pitchers as they were against left-handed pitchers. So because their lineup was built in a way where Kevin Cash had very, very good commitment to using each player in their maximum capacity. I'll give you an example so far this year. Austin Shenton spent the first quarter of the year with the Rays. He only got 43 plate appearances in the entire time. It was atrocious. Yeah. He was throwing up a lineup that you would put up against a left-hander when they were seeing a right-hander. And that's because there was a lack of faith, for whatever reason, in Austin Shenton and some of the other players as well. But the Rays were throwing out the wrong lineups all the time because they didn't have the faith in their guys the same way they did. And that leads to the 3 injuries, right? Aranda, Josh Lowe, and Brandon Lowe actually all being hurt at the same time. You could not script it any worse for their performances. So the fact that they're anywhere near 500, despite being equipped because when you look at a team that's really strong against left-handed pitchers, there's 20% of the league that's left-handed. So if you're a smart GM, you equip your team to fight that 80%. You want a lineup that is like really, really, really strong against right-handed pitching, and whatever you get against left-handed pitching is gravy because it's only 20%. You can look terrible against left-handed pitching. Who cares? It's 20%. I want to light up right-handed pitching, and the Rays just couldn't do it.
I think you hit on one last point there that I think is really needs. You really hit on, and that is even if Caminero does come up, he's not, given playing time. I mean, Meade was up for, and he only played maybe half the games he was up for. Yes, he had a slump, but it's either send the guy down or play him. Right. But the point of having this guy up to get seasoning, I mean, he's not getting seasoning on the bench. So that's the other great part about being a Rays is that even if they do call somebody up, you have no idea if they're going to play him or not.
Yeah, and they're very rigid in how they use their lineup, which I don't like. Like Richie Palacios has been one of the best hitters this year. Yes. He continuously is near the bottom of the lineup, and I don't understand it. He should be somewhere, especially when they're facing a right-hander. He should be, depending on if Josh Lowe is healthy or not, he should be hitting 6th at a minimum, right? And higher. Brandon Lowe, for the last 3 years, has really been struggling. And I think it's time that they consider moving him down they refuse to. There's a lot of loyalty. There's a lot of history there. He is just not as great an at bat as he used to be against right-handed pitchers. So he needs to go down. He needs to do some shifting around, a little bit like the Jays did recently, and it's paying off a little bit for them. But it's going to take a lot for Kevin Cash to make those moves, and I don't know if it needs to come from the front office or not.
So is that philosophy a Cash philosophy of not playing? Just
it wasn't.
Or is that a front office thing?
Last year, their strength was their lineup was changing constantly. It was never the same 2 games in a row. It was actually they used to joke about it on MLB.com and be like, "Hey, the Rays have a new lineup, and it was always the same kind of." So why did it become rigid all of a sudden? Where did it? It's almost like the Rays now this year have this kind of we've been picked on so much for this that we're going to behave like everybody is telling us we're supposed to behave, and it's biting them in the butt because of it. So it's really weird to watch.
I think they were one of the best offenses last year, overall. It's crazy that they would go away from changing it up and just getting weird. Like, do the Rays so we hate them for fantasy, but what works for winning actual baseball games. So keep doing it, guys.
But they were missing half their team. 12 guys on IL. 12, half their team. So I think that you have to kind of give them that. I give them June is when I'll start assessing the guys. I know Junior will come up some point in June. Maybe Carson does. I'm hoping he does. Maybe not. I want to see Jose Caballero play the outfield. I want to see him be super utility. If you're talking about a guy whose value is going to skyrocket in terms of positioning and where he's playing, and he's a much better second baseman than he is a shortstop. So he's a guy that I would draft highly. He's a guy that steals a ton of bases, and I think there's more in his bat for power than he's shown so far.
All
right. So you heard it from Matt. The Tampa Bay Rays are never going to win another game. So.
The Royals are scaring me. I'll be honest. I look at the matchups and I'm just like, oh man, it's going to be a fun team to watch. Their old bench coach from the Rays, McAtaro, is actually there as a manager now. So there's a lot of history between the two. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rays and the Royals make a trade sometime soon either, because the Rays have some excess guys that could benefit the Royals, like Harold Ramirez. He'd do a much better job than some of the guys the Royals have in the outfield than Hunter Renfroe, some of those kind of bats, and be a good balance.
So Matt called it here first. So you're talking about Witt for Ramirez with the Royals. So fair
we'll
trade.
take it.
Bobby Witt for Ramirez. Got it. No problem.
All right. So we're going to move off this topic. And before we get into the injuries, we got one more player we want to talk about, and that is Mr. Paul Skenes. Paul Skenes. That put me up to it. If you guys were watching, he put me up to it. So Mr. Paul Skenes, and if you caught that little slide there, we've got to share this little clip. Was the audio coming through on the other video?
It did on the one. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ask you, what's your favorite thing about Mr. Paul Skenes? His mustache and Livy Dunn.
Nice.
This little kid is hilarious. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
All these kids have mustaches, and I love
God.
how it's got to be Livy Dunn. I mean, the dude could strike out 100 people. He's like, Livy Dunn. I lost it.
Yeah, so kind of just wanted to...
Nothing at all about his baseball acumen. It's just his facial features and his woman.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, or the other way around. Yeah, this is done. Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I wanted to review Paul Skenes. So these are his first 2 starts, both against the Cubs. Went 4 innings in the first one, struck out 7, allowed 3 earned. The second performance was incredible. 11 strikeouts, 6 innings. Had a no-hitter, but of course was at 100 pitches, and they yanked him. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
he did pitch today,
makes sense.
Right.
which was like the complete opposite. Like it's like the completely different Paul Skenes that we've ever seen. Only 3 strikeouts, win 6 innings, 1 earned run, and 1 walk. I mean, so he's actually only walked 4 batters so far in 16 innings, which is pretty good for a guy that, throws super power pitcher like this, right? So I don't know, like he's obviously going to be really good. And, we said it was the joke, right? It was like, oh, what do you guys think is going to happen with Paul Skenes? And I was just like, he's going to strike out a lot of people. Like that was my analysis. Like I wasn't really sure what else to think. He's just going to strike out a lot of people. But it's so far so good. Like he's been really, really good so far. I still worry. Like there's some people who don't worry about the innings cap with him. I think there's gonna be a pretty quick one, but I mean, like what they're saying, like he pitched 130 innings or so in college last year, so maybe that helps carry him over. But I feel like college innings are way different than MLB innings. So, like, right? I mean, like you don't probably have to work as hard at a college inning
because they throw underhand in college. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Some of those games, the crowds are way hyped, and you get you.
Oh, dude, college baseball and softball is so fun to watch, man. But I don't know, like Dap, what's your take on Paul Skenes so far? Like,
right, so
like three different types of games, right?
Sure.
I mean,
I was actually more impressed by this game than I was the 11 strikeout game, and that's because. First of all, he was not maxing out at his normal 120 mile an hour pitch, whatever. He's at 100.3. But the other thing was he was
only 100.3.
Yeah, only 100.3. But the thing was he was getting into some trouble. But the fact is that he allowed a couple hits. He only had a couple strikeouts, and he seemed like he's like, okay, look, either. I can't tell you which one it is. I'm not a pitching expert, but he either didn't have his best stuff or he was like, look, these guys are battling me and I have to change my plan. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the Rays, right? Where the Rays were like, hey, you know what? The second, third time through the lineup, I have to kind of change my stuff. Skenes changed what he was doing that second, third time through the lineup. And he was like, look, I'm not going to get these guys, strike all these guys out. I need to do something else. And that to me impressed me. That's a very veteran mindset. And yes, from a fantasy perspective, we weren't getting the strikeouts. He's gonna absolutely decimate whoever he plays next. I got no doubt. But they had a different game plan today. The players, he was going up against, and the only run he gave up was an RBI ground out. So I just absolutely stamping this as another amazing outing, even though from the stat line you don't see that. I was super impressed by what I saw today.
Yeah. AJ, what's your thoughts, man?
Skenes is crazy, dude. He's so good. Like, it's just amazing to see what he's brought so far. I mean, we knew the strikeouts were going to be there, so that's not any kind of new information. I mean, only walking 4 people is pretty damn impressive through 3 starts. I feel like that's probably going to regress at some point, but at the same time, maybe not. This guy's so confident. He's just coming in like, whatever. I don't care what you throw at me because I'm throwing it right back at you at 100 plus. So, it's going to be a matter of people correcting to try to beat him. And he's already up for the challenge. He already knows that that's what's going to happen. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think this is one of the most impressive spans we've seen from a highly touted pitching prospect in a while.
And his walk per 9 rate after today's game, if I'm doing the math right, because none of the sites have updated his total stats yet. It will be lower than what he had in the minors so far this year. And granted, small sample size, all did, but he was at 2.63 walks per 9 in the minors. He's going to be below that, that's a good number. So
the Pirates once upon a time had Jarrett Cole make his MLB debut with them, right? His first 3 starts in MLB, he allowed 1 walk. That's the difference between the two, where you have one that's a pitcher, one that's a thrower, a little bit more, right? I wouldn't say, they're exact scenarios. It could be your opponent, it could be their approach against you and all that kind of stuff. But I think Jared Cole is a good example because he went through the same organization to get to that point, and he was a little bit of a hard thrower even at that point as well. So he didn't have anywhere near the strikeouts that Paul Skenes is getting though. So you're looking at a guy that is very, very, very dominant and is getting the swings and misses that Jared Cole was struggling to get for a while until he got his repertoire really sorted out.
That's a great point because I had Cole in a couple of dynasty leagues, and when he came up with Pittsburgh, I was pissed. I think he was okay, but it wasn't at all what I was expecting, like what we're seeing with Skenes, really. And again, it is a small sample size. It's only 3 games. So
exactly,
we'll see what happens in the next 3, the next 6, but yeah, Cole, I just felt like overall he was kind of a disappointment with Pittsburgh. And I just didn't get it, what they were doing differently versus, what Skenes has now, or maybe it's just the pitcher.
I remember when Cole came over to the Yankees, I was like, why everybody was all in on him. I didn't quite understand why. I was like, he's been a mediocre pitcher overall for Pittsburgh. He's going to come over to the AL East and get shelled. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
Well, he went to the Astros first, and the Astros were like, let me show you what you do.
Oh, true.
Well, exactly. Right. They're like, hey. We got an idea for you.
We got some trash cans.
Just learn. Pay attention, young man.
Avoid the trash cans.
Yes.
All right. There's 1 hit for 2, strike.
If you hear a clanging can, don't throw what we tell you to throw.
All right. So let's finish up here. Just quickly run through some injuries that I was able to catch real quick here. John Means hit the IL again. It looks like with a forearm strain. So
that's never good.
It's a bad one.
Yeah, that's not good. This guy can't stay healthy. It's unfortunate because he's a good pitcher. It sucks to lose him, but
John Means IL. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, right. John Gray hit the IL with a groin strain. He was kind of on a roll, man. So that's a big loss for the Rangers. And I'm going to pull in AJ and my fantasy teams. Xander Bogaerts, a shoulder fracture, going to be on the IL for quite some time, it sounds like. So that's no bueno. Cody Bradford had a setback in his return or attempt to return from the IL, now transferred to the 60-day IL. Safe to drop him, I would imagine, in most formats. Eloy Jimenez, we just joked about John Means IL. Eloy Jimenez IL, back on the back there with a hamstring, right? I mean, I don't understand. And then Nolan Jones, he was like right there about to come back and apparently like messed up his knee or something. So they've paused his rehab. I haven't seen much other update except for that. So not really sure. Quick, just rapid fire, pick one and just give us a quick take and like impact for fantasy. Matt, start with you.
Well, Xander Bogaerts, basically, you're looking at more playing time and more on the field time for Luis Reyes and Jake Cronenworth. But they also have Igor Rosario, who's a guy that, he's been itching to get playing time for a long time. He could end up peeking in once in a while, more than he's had the opportunity to get so far. But I think that they might be in the trade market because it does seem like it'll be a while before he's back.
The Padres trading never. That we'll just go up the run.
So going with Eloy, right? I mean, Eloy, we expected that, but I mean, Robert looks like he's going to be coming back here pretty soon. His first swing at rehab for Luis Robert on his rehab start, he hit a home run. So I think Robert's ready to go. So they lose Eloy, which again, 80 games, over under type of situation there. Robert's gonna be back. I think that's more the bigger kind of key story there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's gonna be the Texas pitching. I mean, like I said, I just literally joked about it. John Gray getting kicked in the dick by the Phillies, but he didn't pitch that horribly in the game. Aside from, yes, thank you, you're welcome. Aside from the 3 walks, only gave up 4 hits, had 4 Ks, gave up 2 earned. 5 innings is on the lower end for what we've seen from him. And, he's been the John Gray that we were looking for so many years. Again, another guy in Dynasty that I had such high hopes for and never saw it. So he either got traded or dropped. But the Cody Bradford thing, he was outstanding in his first 3 starts. And now with this rib setback, I don't know if he's going to get back to what we saw. Again, a small sample size for 3 starts, but they were dominant starts. And ever since he kind of went down, Texas started this slow and steady free fall into just an average team. So if their pitching can't get it together and they're going to be dealing with struggles there, over the next few weeks into the summer, the ball's going to start flying out of Texas sooner than later. So this doesn't look good for the defending world champs.
Yeah, I totally agree. So not much else to add here for me, except that Nolan Jones suffering a knee injury, already dealing with the back. To me, that screams that when he does return, if it's close to being serious, that means less running for him, which is just going to limit his stolen base total here. But let's finish up with something a little fun here that we've added to the show. Question of the day. We've got rumors floating around here, and Rob Manfred is addressing, these, saying that there might be an MLB challenge system put in place for balls and strikes. And so there's a lot to it, right? It's apparently like they're basically going to use almost like the robot system, like the computer ball and strike system for the challenge calls. That's all I really know about it, because I randomly caught it today as I was doing research for the show. I was like, whoa, wait, what? Do we like this? I don't know. Who wants to go first? I don't even know.
I'm happy to, but Matt, go ahead. You look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, they've been using this in AAA in a couple of
yes,
and basically it's up to either the hitter, the team gets one, and so I think the catcher can get one, or I can't remember what it is. If you're on the field, but I think he kiboshed it today, didn't he? Didn't he say that they're not doing it for 2025? And I also feel like it's
I don't think it would be right away. It's something that's talking about it could be a year or 2 away, but it was just something interesting. I was like, I didn't really ever think that this would be something that they would bring up to the majors, and apparently it's being actually discussed.
Manfred being Manfred, I can't, the whole Ghost Runner thing, for example, it just still drives me insane, right? He takes an idea and then he throws out a whole bunch of garble, and if you read some of it, it's hilarious to me. So some of the stuff that he said was just cracks me up. First of all, he doesn't want to bring in the automated strike zone right away because he's worried about catchers' career longevity, because some catchers have a career because of the way that they frame strikes. And I'm like, and we would lose out on those catchers. I'm like, okay, first off, dude, I don't care if we lost 12 players because of their entire career is framing balls. I'm sorry. I'd much rather you be able to call accurate balls and strikes. Second thing he said, which I thought was hilarious, is we can't decide on what the strike zone actually is.
Yeah.
Bro,
so
if you can't call and tell me what a strike zone is, then we have a bigger problem. And then the other thing, and this is to me, it felt like it was very Elon Musk-esque, like he was trying to sound smarter than he was. He's like, do you know that the strike zone is not actually a rectangle? It's actually a circle. And I'm like, what? Yeah, he said that people don't realize
computer figures clearly show a rectangle that's
3x3.
Yeah, he goes.
That would
he goes.
probably
He's
be
like,
more of a
you don't
square than a
realize how
rectangle."
circular the
Right?
strike zone is. I'm
What
like,
are you talking about?
I'm like, what? We're taking. So he's like, we need to talk about this more because the issues. Here's the funny part. There's a couple different leagues that have been doing this for years now, right? Completely automated strike zone. I'm talking about the Cape Cod League and a couple others, and there's no issues. Here's the thing: do it the other way around. Have a completely automated system where they have the ability to object because it's horrible right now, where you're able to object and they're able to go to the automated system, and it's like it's supposed to be super quick. But no, what happens is they have to call, they have to do a whole thing, and it's like a good 5-10 minute delay.
Right.
And that completely gives the viewer who doesn't understand this more the bad taste in their mouth of, oh, if we go automated, it's gonna suck. No, it sucks because of the way MLB has hamstrung this entire situation.
Yes.
Just
do it like tennis. How fun is the tennis challenge and stuff? Just put it on the screen. Everybody in the crowd goes, like, come on. Like, how fun is that?
And what was
Let's
the whole
zoom
thing
in
with
on
tennis?
the ball, follow it down to the line. Oh, that's in.
Yes.
Sorry,
I
that's
like
it.
it.
That's a
Do it
challenge
just
one.
like
Yes.
But if
That-
you have
yes.
to call and you go under the hood, dude, it's
fact that
terrible if
they-
you do it that way.
The fact that they're thinking that this is circular and it's an infinity, it's never ending because this is how catchers are. On one side, I'm going to talk out of my left fucking ear hole because I can't even reach my mouth over that far to talk out of the side of it. Oh, well, everything is this. We got to get these catchers and that have made a career on framing pitches. They're going like this and bringing it down. And as the ump's like scratching his asshole, I mean, come on, get out of this. Like, it's so absurd.
So Rob
when I
Manfred
watch
is
games,
allowing cheating.
It's annoying.
Rob
when I
Manfred is the
watch
same.
these
Rob
games-
Manfred's the same guy that said, the reason we've decided to increase the ghostwriting rules because of all the positive feedback I've received. No, you haven't.
What
No, you
positive
have not.
feedback have you received on this? Your
No one
own
likes
like
it.
ghost Twitter accounts typing to you, "Hey Rod, good one on that." Hey, this is Elon
He's
M.
calling his mom
period.
and his kids.
Hey guys,
his
I need
neighbors.
some help. So the fans are a little angry at me again. I know, I'm sorry, but I suck at my job. So I need you guys to create like 17 million ghost accounts and just tell me how good of a job I'm doing, and just back me on this one thing until next week when I come up with something else you can back me on.
The number
This
one
is
reason
absurd.
why, let's be honest, let's just call a spade, is because the umpire union. If you can't even fire Angel Hernandez,
If
which
you
they
cannot
have,
get that bum out of the damn league, then I mean,
right, and that's the problem.
Yes.
The umpire
That's
union
it.
is like, look, we're gonna look like idiots.
Angel
if you
Hernandez stands back there with
AJ's fired up.
eyes painted on to his eyelids, sleeping, and just throws a hand up at any will that he thinks. It's that's what it is. It is a sleep spasm. That's his strike calls because he has no idea what the hell he is doing.
All right, here's
He
the
is
quote
a
from Manfred, just so you guys hear it.
waste.
The shape of the strike zone. We have not started those conversations with players because we haven't settled on what we think about it. Bro,
The shape of the
how do you
strike
not
zone?
know the shape of your I'm done. Like,
He called the trophy a piece of metal. He's not
I
a
know.
baseball fan. He doesn't
No.
even watch the games. I'm positive he doesn't watch the game.
Like, I thought Bud Selig was bad. Manfred
Mhm.
has taken commissioner terribleness to a whole nother level. The
Mhm.
guy's awful. And
The
every
shape-
year he comes up with a new quote to just be like, you're terrible.
He now wants to be in cahoots with Ed Sheeran because he saw what the shape of your body does on the charts, and now he's like, "Oh, hey guys, the shape of this circular thing, that's a strike zone, we're gonna call it now."
Somebody needs to make a video of that. The shape of you video with him describing the strike zone.
Careful
Strike.
giving him ideas.
I'm about to go on a cruise, so I might spend the entire time drinking next to a pool, getting
Wait,
sunburned
I'm sorry.
out of my
Hey,
ass
Rob,
and
what's this?
Look,
doing this.
it's actually defined on the website.
that right there looks like a rectangle, so I will agree to that point. Yet they still make it 3x3 on the freaking rectangle on the challenge board reviews that they.
I think what probably happened is that some intern explained to Rob that it's actually 3-dimensional, so it's actually like it has depth as well.
Because the backdoor cutter, it only has the back of the plate. So really it's at the front. And then Rob's like,
it's a front side, back side.
I'll bring
Rob,
it in the interview.
You gotta see it from all sides, man. Like get back in the fucking matrix, Rob. Come on, man. It's circular.
They just tried to explain trigonometry to Mauer Manfred and failed miserably.
But my favorite was like, we have to worry about the catchers who will lose their jobs because of the framing. Bro. I'm like dude, if your entire job is framing pitches, then anyways, I don't.
Yeah. If you look up my tweet,
career out of framing pitches, guess what? Your career is fraudulent. You are a freaking fake. You suck at catching.
What were you saying about
You're good at moving your arm around and throwing off Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, exactly. The human element. If you look up tweets on the human element, that's all you'll see is missed calls from the umpires, and that's what we're really trying to avoid. Like, there's nothing that gets you look at a fan base, any fan base, when they're playing your team, they will become irate, and you'll see like maybe 5 seconds after the missed call, you'll see pictures of the missed call. They'll be like, "What was that?" And then
obviously I watch a lot of Phillies games. I question calls when Phillies pitchers, who we have like 2 in the running for Cy Young already, that they throw these pitches, and I'm like, and then they're like, "Oh, strike!" I'm like, no, nope. Real Muto, I love you. You are awesome at framing pitches. You are one of the best catchers in the game because of what you do, but it's not because you can frame these pitches. Like, he hasn't necessarily. Well, he probably has made a career out of this, but it's just. The whole idea is fraudulent, and the fact that he thinks it's a fucking circle is beyond idiocy to me. Hey, here you go. Here's a circle. Where's the strike going? Where's it going? Oh, wait, nope, it's in my mouth.
It brings up another point, though. If you're a commissioner that's trying to up the scoring in your league, do you want framers behind the plate, or do you want hitters? Because if you take away the framing, anybody can get behind the plate and catch a ball. Like, as long as you're good, you get taught how to block.
Out of the game. Just throw the ball directly into Angel Hernandez's fucking chest. He's asleep anyways. Wake him up.
I agree.
That's all you need to do. Yeah, he wants everything all at once, just like Elon. I want catchers who frame to continue their career, but I want to challenge this because it's a circle and the ball's a circle. So it's 3D again. Somebody's talking in my ear about 3D. Yeah, sphere. It's a thing. Jackass.
Matt, you were going to bring up some tweet you had.
Oh, it was just that. It was just about the human element. I think the human element, I think, is one of the things that drives me bonkers when they try to cherish the human element of baseball, which is basically saying we love to have mistakes in our game for no unknown reason. Like, it's just it's gone to the point where it's an embarrassment for the league that these people get to make the same mistakes and horrible mistakes over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, look, even NFL, like, I've heard rumors now that they're thinking about ways of like removing, the fact that hey, we're going to measure first downs by these like chains.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we can literally put sensors in the ball to tell you exactly where it is. Like, we don't need this anymore. And so they're finally actually looking into it. It's late, but at least they're doing it. It's like, come on. I get it. It's the history.
But then there's going to be
the way we've always done it. You sound like the 80-year-old woman in my work who like shouldn't be there anymore. And it says, but this is the way we've always done it. It doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, right. Doesn't mean you were right 80 years straight. Hey, guess what? There's a thing called technology. It's an advancement in life and things around us. Like, if your car's headlights turn on automatically when it gets dark. Whoa. Oh, man, there's a sensor in my car that knows this? Wow, this is amazing.
Why don't they just pull the fans?
Football, though. Well, yeah, exactly.
Because
they don't care about the fans.
If they pulled the fans, then we would have trouble. But what happens is Manfred is pulling the fans because that's what he always says. He's like, I've talked to many fans on the street.
6.
Have you not seen his quotes? They're hilarious.
Hey, do you guys know anything about baseball? No? Okay, let me pick your brain about something real quick.
Like, we've heard a lot of feedback from lots of fans. Like, those fans, of course, being like the owner's kids. And they're like, hey, would you like to make it some more billions? We're going to get some more things. Come on.
So Richie Rich, your dad's an old coot who doesn't know anything about the game anymore, but he's got a shit ton of money and he helps pay my salary. So I got a bone to pick with you. What do you think about this? Do you like ribs or steak? Which one is it?
End of day, I mean, let's just talk about gritty, AJ. That's all.
We can. Where's the slide? Throw the slide up there. Come on. Exactly. Thank you, Jason.
I don't have it just like ready. That picture creeps me the hell out, but I can get there.
So then you should see it. You should be able to just automatically throw it on the screen. Thank you.
There you go.
Through your nightmares. Here he is.
Just so you understand, we had a discussion last. The question of the day last week was which mascot would win in a Royal Rumble, and of course, I took a very deep.
Snowballed out of control.
Yeah.
To how weird mascots were. And so I said, well, the weirdest mascot is Gritty. So, okay. Back to this topic real quick. I just want to ask. So, robot umps or automatic strike zone?
What's the difference?
I don't mind. Like, here's the thing. I don't mind an automated strike zone.
I don't know. I guess
literally putting a mechanical figure behind the catcher and be like, strike one.
So like the way that it would play, right? Is so the way that it would play is that
would be fun. That is what the freaking thing needs. That's what the MLB needs. Robot umps that just trash talk the pitchers and the catchers who made their careers out of framing. You jackass, you think that was framed right, you suck, that's a ball 4, take your base. Like, that's what we need.
Could you imagine somebody like hacking?
I will go to every baseball game and dress as a robot and do that for them.
It has to be in Adam Sandler's voice.
Yeah. Fine. Done.
Yeah. I think you want the automated strike zone. To me, ultimately, I think what'll probably end up happening in the long run, and it'll take a while to get there, is the umpire will have some sort of system to know whether or not it was a strike. It'll be automated to him, and he can either ignore it or accept it based on what he sees. And the teams will get challenges of a certain amount. And I think eventually that'll grow. Same as the replay system. Originally, the replay system was so limited in scope. And now it's grown over time and kind of gotten to be a lot better. But
because they're like,
Eric Burns,
things.
So Eric Burns every year just has been doing this the last 4 years, right? So what Eric Burns does is he actually goes to the Cape Cod League and he actually shows how easy it is to call balls and strikes. Mm-hmm. And what he does is basically puts the headset on. He sits behind the dugout and with the whole thing, it has an earpiece in, and all he does is wait for a beep. So if there's a beep. Then he calls a strike. If there's no beep, he calls a ball. And then they do a whole reporting on it. And I think it's like last year when he did it was 98% accurate. Assuming, of course, that it's a rectangle strike zone, but we're not going to go into that. But come on, but the thing was,
we're going to make it a rhombus,
right? But the thing is that one of the biggest things that people lie about was that there would be a huge delay. He's able to call a strike within about a second after the pitch is received. So that goes out the window, and it's an earpiece. So look, you can have an umpire back there if you want. Put him in an easy boy. I don't care. All he has to do is then, of course, call safe or home or box and all that other stupid stuff that always gets called out. Fine, have him do that. But the strikes, all he has to do is raise his arm or not raise his arm, and that's all it is. And Eric Burns has shown for almost 4 years straight that's easy to do. And you can have it and be completely accurate and just be done with it. I mean, that part to me is stupid. And it's all because of the union and whatever. Like, I'm just like, I used to be a whole traditionalist about this whole thing where I'm like, I want to have the human element. But, Matt, I'm done with that. I'm done with it because it's become so stupid.
You know what killed it for me, honestly, was watching young guys get stolen strikes from them over and over again while the veterans get all the strike benefits of the world.
Right.
And it really irritated me, especially for guys that were coming up for 1 start, 2 starts, and are trying to make an impression. and they're being held back by the umpires. Literally, their careers finished possibly after 1 or 2 starts.
Yep.
That to me is more important than the guy stealing strikes behind the plate, and sometimes doing it by breaking his wrist.
Yeah, Andre Scholar. I'm gonna mispronounce the name. Andre Scalaraga? No. Who's the guy that lost the perfect game?
Yeah.
It was
Armando.
Armando.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm sorry. That's the Atlanta Braves first baseman. My apologies. Yes, Armando Galarraga. Here's the Galarraga. You know, watching him lose his game, like that started my
That
process.
was
I mean, and the best part is that MLB has now shown that they can go back and fix a game that's already been finished. And I think it was a couple weeks ago. They go back and they go, oh, you know what? We missed a call 2 weeks ago. They still haven't fixed that game. Still blows my mind. So, anyways.
Well, yeah, because they're just busy sending out the meme of Maya Rudolph, like, love you. And like, what? No, that doesn't fix my game, you clown. Like, this needs to happen.
All
right. Well, questions today get me fired up.
Matt,
how dare you?
What, other than, of course, tweeting every day at the Rays, what should people follow you and where should they follow you at?
So it's at MAT_Jermaine_. It's just as posted there. So I'm on Twitter or X all the time. That's where I live pretty much. I'm considering a YouTube channel at some point, but that's a little bit down the road. And then just basically all the minor leagues for the Rays, and in general, I'll usually kind of cover an odd team here and there when I think they have something interesting going on. So I do venture out away from the Rays pretty regularly, just focus a lot on the Rays as well.
Well, you can, of course, see me on Fantasy Six Pack and also for Xavier Isaac Fan Club. I am the president of the Xavier Isaac Fan Club. And if you don't know who that is, then I have not been tweeting enough. That is the first baseman of the future for the Rays. He is amazing, and he has a huge power bat. Joe, what else have we missed?
Nothing. I think we're good.
Awesome. Love it.
Become an all access member.
Yeah.
Try
Discord, free
whatever it is.
2-week trials. Check them out.
Yes, absolutely.
Matt, thank you for coming on. It was an awesome show.
Yep.
Appreciate your insight and have a good rest of the night.
Well, thank you very much.
Waiver wire coming out tomorrow. See y'all.
See ya.
Cheers.